مشاهدينا بمسيكم بالخير واهلا وسهلا فيكم بحلقه جديده من برنامجكم بقعة امل اسبار اوف هوب. اليوم بصرنا بنتشرف نضيف فيه خينا وحبيبنا ربيع درويش. اهلا وسهلا فيك ربيع.
اهلا وسهلا.
ثانك يو فور بينج هير. طبعا تحيه لواتساب مي نتورك، تحيه لكم مشينا كلكم. طبعا مواساتنا للامه الاسلاميه والانسانيه جمعاء بمصاب مولى الحسين اللي هو مصاب الانسانيه جمعاء، وتحيه لكل السبونسرز ايضا، كل سبونسر لواتساب ميديا نتورك، السبونسرز تبع السبار اوف هوب، سام بيدون، سيكشن 21 العقاري، ووين كاونتي كوميشنر، عندنا ايضا علي شراره سيكشن 21 العقاري، وعندنا مروان فرج دمو اكسبرس. وتحيه لكل داعمي واتساب ميديا نتورك. اليوم عندنا برنامجنا حيكون عن المخدرات والادمان، والاهم قصه ربيع اللي هي فحواها ومحورها عن كيف تخلص وقدر يقضي على الادمان من بعد ما قام الموت 4 مرات. مش عم نبالغ ولا باي حرف، خليكم معنا وشوفوا القصه كامله منذ البدايه حتى النهايه. وتحيه برجع بقول لكل السبونسر تبع واتساب نتورك، لسلينج عربي تي في، 130 تشانلز، مشاهد بلس، بي ام سبورتس. تواصل مع واتساب ميديا نتورك لتحصلوا على مشاركه مجانيه لمده اسبوع. شاركوا الفيديو، اي تعليق اي سؤال اطرحوه وان شاء الله نحن حنتناوله. اذا موضوع الحلقه هو القضاء على الادمان، وبدنا بهالمناسبه بدنا نواسي كل الكوميونتي ممبرز يلي فقدناهم بهذا السبب. هذا اليوم الشو بيقضي عنده غرضين حقيقه مشاهدينا الكرام. الغرض الاول هو تسليط الضوء على هذه الصوره يلي بتعطي كثير امل، بتعطي كثير تفاؤل، لانه مثل ما ذكرت من دقيقه رجع من الموت 4 مرات، يعني مش مزح، وجرب كل انواع المخدرات رح نسمعها منه. وغرض الثاني هو حث الكوميونتي عنا اذا حدا عنده مشكله من هذا القبيل انه يحكي عنها، وفي كثير سبل المساعده اللي قدر ربيع يحكي عنها. ربيع اهلا وسهلا فيك.
السلام عليكم.
وعليكم السلام، كيفك؟
الحمد لله.
حج مبرور.
الله يبارك فيك حبيبي.
الله يخليك.
الله يخليك.
يعني هلا المشاهدين حيتفاجئوا انه عم لك حج مبرور. يعني بيقولوا وين كان مخدرات ما خلى نوع، بلش بالماريوانا وكل الحبوب الفايكرين ما الفايكرين وعاد رجع على الهيروين والالكوهول وهالشغلات، وهلا عمل له حج مبرور. طيب اول شيء قبل ما نبلش بالحديث طبعا عن من الاخر بلش من الاول. طفولتك وين كانت ربيع؟ يعني where were you born raised؟
أنا خلقت ببيروت ب 1983. Okay. So we immigrated to the United States in 1989. And we went to East Dearborn. So that's where the neighborhood I grew up, like the Morrow Circle area, Tyson area. So it was very, very pleasant. And I had a really good childhood growing up. I had very, very good friends.
Okay.
In that community.
ما كان في bad influence.
No, not really.
That young.
Yeah, when I was that young, there wasn't really that. No, I wasn't.
ورحت على school.
So I went to first I went to McDonald's, and then I went to McDonald's Elementary, and then I went to Laurie Elementary. I finished there, and then I went to Laurie Middle School as well, and then I graduated from Fortson High School.
Okay, congratulations.
Thank you.
So at that time, just to give an idea for our audience and our followers, so throughout the entire that period, were you in drugs or no?
So I first was introduced to marijuana at the age. It was like my freshman going into my sophomore year in high school.
Okay.
Now I was the type of kid, if you smoked cigarettes, I didn't want you to be a part of my life. I just I wouldn't have it. And then one day there was a curiosity for it, and then I used it, and then it made me feel very like secure. It made me feel comfortable in my skin. So a lot of my insecurities went away, and I liked that feeling.
Okay.
And then I just ran with it. I would use once in a while, and I would tell my parents that I'm going to do homework, you know, and I wouldn't do that. So grades started declining a little, but I was on and off. I wasn't always on the substance, and Then not even shortly after, I started drinking. So it was
That young.
associated, yeah, so
Okay.
it was associated with fun, but I was getting away with it. Now, I'd have friends that would get in trouble, but I was always getting away with it. So you got to imagine, I got away with it for a very, very, very long time. I didn't think I had a problem. I was just trying to have fun, just like everyone else, you know. And then I had an injury. I injured my knee when I was 19, and then I was prescribed Vicodin. So once I took Vicodin, that completely changed the dynamics. And you know, I was hooked on it, but I would go on and off. So when I would not use the Vicodin, you know, I'd go back to marijuana or I'd go back to drinking, you know, and it was, you know, back to the so-called, you know, fun lifestyle, just like everyone's doing it. So,
Sure.
you know, why not?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Understand.
yeah.
So you think that your problem was by not looking at it as a problem, it was just part of your fun life? Like, yeah, I'm just like a lot of people doing it, and I want to do it. It's for fun.
And it was on the weekends. It wasn't, you know, it wasn't like we were doing it every
and-
day, right? You know,
Okay.
and we live in the United States, but you know, everyone does it everywhere, all parts of the world. But so you know, you see it on television, you hear it in the music, and the females, you know, they want to go out, and of course, you know, it's very tempting. It's very attractive, as opposed to not doing anything.
Okay.
You know, over the weekends.
Sure.
So it was all around me.
So basically, you came here when you were 6 years old to the States, and you got hooked on it kind of when you were, what, 17, 16?
Well, I didn't know at the time, but no,
I
I
mean,
got
you
hooked on it
started-
when I was 19. I started at the age of 15.
15.
Yeah.
Marijuana, then
yeah,
drinking,
14, 15.
then 19 when you injured your knee. You went to
Yeah,
Vicodin. Okay.
Vicodin, right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you were 19 years old, meaning 2002, just to give people some perspective,
Mm-hmm.
where at that point, did you realize that you were addicted to it, or
No,
that was your
I
increasing, kept
So-
increasing?
Well, so what it was I would go on and off.
Okay.
Okay, and I had short-term periods where it would be very, very aggressive, and then I was able at that time to stop.
Okay.
You know, but then you know, I would work out, you name it, and then I'd acquire another injury. You know, over
Okay.
that, you know, whatever it was, something. My knee, I never really took care of my knee. I had so many surgeries on it, though. So I always had knee problems. I didn't know how to deal with pain.
Okay.
You know, and I wouldn't really tell anyone that I had a problem, you know, because a lot of people around me were doing it as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I see.
Yeah.
So when did you realize that, oh, okay, I have been doing it for fun. I haven't recognized that I've been on it or addicted to it. When did you realize that I cannot leave it anymore?
I think by the time I was around 24, 25, I realized that, you know, I'd hear from some friends that, you know, you passed out in front of my family members, and I wouldn't believe it, you know.
You passed out without you knowing.
Yeah.
So you didn't feel it, basically.
Yeah, I
and
wouldn't
therefore
feel
you
it.
thought that didn't happen.
Yeah, and exactly. You know, what are you talking about? And I'd feel a certain way. I'd feel guilt and shame. So I would go use and make that feeling go away, essentially, right?
Okay, so basically you were resolving the problem by
Using more.
using more.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Running away from the feeling. So what happened was you know, when I wanted, finally, you know, I wasn't growing as a person. You know, I left school. School was no longer, you know, attractive
interest,
for, and
yeah.
it wasn't an interest at all. And, you know, I started using a lot, and I started selling drugs because I wanted to use more. And, you know, I threw Somas into the mix, which was a muscle relaxer. Then I threw Xanax into the mix. So that concoction is like synthetic heroin on a grand scale, and it becomes expensive. You got to imagine, when I started using those, they were like $2, or they were $1. There were some people would throw them at me like they were for free, and then next thing you know, each pill was $5, $6, you know, each. So it would cost $100 to get high, just one dose, or $60, whatever it was at the time. But so when I asked for help, I was put on Suboxone for another 2 years. And the withdrawal from that was about 65 days. And it doesn't, imagine you go every day and you're thinking that it's never going to go away. And you want this terrible feeling to go away. So like, I'll give you an example of what withdrawals are, like the symptoms of withdrawal. So you have a constant running nose, persistent headache in a frontal lobe, as if somebody's hammering you down in the head. Your eyes are watery. It seems like sometimes, you can hear yourself speak. As if your ears are plugged up, your throat is, you're constantly coughing.
Oh, wow.
You have chest pain, your joints are hurting, your stomach is turning, you want to throw up, your legs are very restless, they hurt a lot, and you can't stop moving them, you can't sleep, and you have constant diarrhea. So it's like everything in one, and with a flu. So you get chills, and then you get really hot, and then anything you see on television, you become extremely emotional. So you're very unstable. You become very unstable, and it's a terrible feeling. And so imagine, you go.
And you went through that, obviously.
Yeah, and imagine.
For how long? Like at this
so
particular
with the
stage?
Suboxone, that it was a 65-day withdrawal. So
Okay. For 2 months and 5 days.
Yeah, so it was terrible, and it wouldn't go away. So, I gave up. And I was, the people around me, my family, God bless them. I love them to death. They didn't understand. They didn't know what to do. They took me back to the doctors, and the doctor would say, well, you broke protocol. And at that time, there was no protocol to titrate you off of the medications. It was just, here's the medication, you take this, and then here's a sleep aid like a Seroquel, so they give you like a psych to go to sleep. So, it was. You had family doctors trying to treat a disease. So imagine a family doctor is trying to treat cancer. You would go to a cancer center to treat cancer, but no, family doctors were doing this. And
not a specialist, you mean?
Absolutely not.
Okay, not a specialist, not the expert on it.
No.
So that continued until?
I would go on and off, and then of course I'd hide it from my family.
Okay.
And I thought I was managing it, and then
went out of control.
Yeah, absolutely. It went out of control. I went back to the use. I started ODing in front of my family, and it wasn't pretty. Everyone found out, like literally. And I would go to treatment. I remember going to the treatment my first time. I was terrified, and all I did was ask for help. And actually, my friend told me, he goes, "Do you need help?" And I said, "Yeah." And he gave me a number. So I called the number, and I was terrified with the screener, admitting for the first time. I've never admitted this to anyone. Imagine, the friend that helped me at the time was in recovery, and I used to use with him for 10 years. So I couldn't even get honest with him because I felt like he was different, And he didn't understand me. So I was being judgmental towards him, but that's where my mind was at the time. And so when I was going with the screener, I was completely, I had a lot of guilt and shame. And when I went there, I was terrified. But then, I was told I had a disease. And I didn't like that the first time. I was like, I don't have a disease, because,
I'm normal.
I mean, imagine you grow up, everything that's linked with addiction, it shows a guy on the streets, somebody, stealing, going to jail. So it gave us like it stigmatized it into a particular face, right? Okay. So that's what I associated with. I didn't think it was a disease. That's all you've ever seen. That's how we were yeah, exactly. And there was no education on that.
Yes.
We didn't have any. I never knew. So I'm getting educated for the first time about it, and they're teaching me, and I'm just not accepting that. No way.
Okay.
And so I went back home, and shortly after, I just thought, let me get a job and let me live life and let me take on these things. But so you got to imagine, you acquire all these character defects and shortcomings in your active addiction, and then you have your recovery. It's this tiny, and it's like you're relearning how to become an adult. It's as if you're an infant, and these character defects and shortcomings, they spill into recovery. You don't know how to deal with that. So I went back home. And all, same phone book, same house, same friends that know that number, same number. And Next thing I know, I'm isolating myself. Yeah, I'm seeing the phone ring, and I'm getting all these cravings, which I didn't understand because I'm not, I didn't really take them seriously. And then eventually you're going to pick that phone up because, I'm completely isolating. I don't know anyone in recovery. I didn't have friends.
Except for the one that used to use one, right?
Absolutely. And everything that I did was associated with using. So imagine the air that I breathed reminded me of using drugs around here. Like everything was a trigger to me.
I mean, if we want to look back to the entire period, you lived with it like for how many years?
About 15 years in active addiction.
Yeah, that's
so imagine, that's like you're stopping a freight train.
Yeah.
And then it's going to derail.
I mean, God
and
bless
if
you,
we don't,
you're 36 today, right?
That's correct. Yeah, I'm 36 years old.
So almost half your age.
Right. And so you got to imagine, I ended up going back to treatment 20 times. Now, sometimes I would go.
20 times?
Yeah, because in my insane mind.
20 sessions?
Oh, yeah, well, I went back 20 more times.
20 more times?
Yeah, but so I'll explain. So in my insane thinking, because I thought I knew it all at the time, I would go there, just detox, leave. I'm taking a break, and I'd be clean for a couple of weeks, a month, and relapse, You run into somebody,
sure,
or somebody invites you out, because again, I went back to the same places, same faces. They're all wet faces and wet places.
Okay.
And that's all I knew. And again, I never respected the disease, and it's not anyone's fault. It's not like, there was any education on that. Okay. And so anytime I would get a trigger, which I didn't know I was being triggered, I'd be anxious, I'd have anxiety, or I'd get angry. So I didn't understand what was going on, nor did my family.
You were lost in the midst of the whole thing. You were lost in the midst of the whole thing.
Absolutely.
It started fun. It started.
Yeah, it was very fun.
Yeah. And it kept fun despite all these symptoms of being painful, instability.
So the thing is,
sleep.
So this disease, it's very cunning and baffling. So you really don't understand it. And I realized that at one point that memories become malleable. So we forget that pain really quickly. And then all we do is we remember the pleasures.
Yes.
And it's instant gratification for instant misery. Because as soon as I would use, I'd feel guilty and shame. And then when it would go away, I would feel depressed. And then the only way I could feel good, right, because, I already used, I might as well keep going, right? Yeah. I might as well use again. And I'd always replace it with something else, or alcohol, or it could be Tylenol 3, or Neurontin,
yes.
or it could have been Tramadol, and I just kept on going from one to the other. And then in the end, I went to heroin, which I never imagined. Because
heroin.
So
there you went through it.
So imagine, it's $100 for one dose, because my appetite, my tolerance got so high. So I was using, one dose would be 10 pills of Vicodin, 10 pills of Somas, and I think it was 8 to 10, and 4 bars of Xanax. Now that'll kill a normal, 5 and 5 will kill a normal person. So that's how high my tolerance was. And I really, I remember that time, all the dope dealers, some weren't answering, and it was very dry. I just couldn't find any. And one person answered, and he said, hey, I got that boy, heroin. And so it seemed very rational at the time. And he's like, you know what, here, you can have it for free. And I was like, I was sick. I'm feeling very sick, so all those symptoms start kicking in, and you're willing to do whatever it takes. You're willing to steal, kill, just to feel better, right? And then I used it, and I said, oh my God, and I said, how much was that? He said, oh, that was just about $5 to $10 right there. And I said, are you kidding me? Why would I want to go back to those pills? I would rather use this. And then obviously that progressed from there.
So financially it was enticing.
Absolutely. It was economically viable to my life at that time.
And the feeling
it made sense.
Gave you. And
same feeling.
Yeah, understand. Well, before we continue with you, Rabih, just let me give a big shout out for all the followers out there. Any comments, any questions that you have, we will consider it for sure. So please make sure that you share this video to make sure that it's going to go across above and beyond for people to get benefited from. This is a very important topic, overcoming addiction And we're not talking any kind of addiction. We're talking Rabia. Our guest, he was about to die 4 times at least. He went to treatment over 20 times, and then he was able to overcome addiction. Big shout out for the What's Up Media Network for always paving the way for us to get streamed live every Tuesday. And then big shout out also for all the sponsors for What's Up Media Network. Sling Arabic TV, over 130 Arabic channel. Shahidوا Plus, BM Sports. Please get in touch with What's Up Media Network for a free of 1 week participation with Sling TV. And then also shout out for our sponsors, Marwan Faraj, Lemo Express, as well as Sam Baidoun, Century 21 and Wayne County Commission, as well as Ali Sharara, also Century 21. So thank you all for your support. Rabia, we're going to come back to you. So you were talking about you found that financially enticing, meaning affordable. You were able to afford heroin.
I mean, temporary.
Yes, and then you liked it.
Absolutely.
Did it give you the same
yes.
effect or more?
Absolutely. You know, you go from sniffing heroin to essentially shooting it, because again, you're put in situations.
Faster for the bloodstream.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you know, imagine, I'm terrified of needles, but when you're put in a situation, some things become rational over a period of time.
Okay.
You know, and it made sense. And you got to imagine, and I never got caught till the age of 30. So I got away with a lot of things. You know, I got away with selling drugs, and God knows, you know, I used to think that, you know, selling drugs was a means of making money or providing, but then you start to realize that we live in the United States. It's the greatest time in human history to be an American. And, our problems are extremely petty here. We complain about a $6 latte that has too much milk in it. And yet I used to justify that, you know, I wanted fast money. And I want to go get it on the street. Obviously, there was no patience.
You didn't want to work.
Absolutely not.
Kind of
Absolutely
patiently.
Not.
You didn't want to work hard.
Absolutely not.
You just wanted to see the cash flowing.
Yeah, because, you know, you become addicted to the lifestyle,
Yes.
the
Plus
women
need
that come
materials
with that.
too. I mean,
absolutely.
Beside the money
you have
flow,
the music that's you know, involved with that.
Yeah.
You have the movies that justify. So, you know, we glorify criminals and drug lords, cartels. You know, it's glorified. I mean, think about it. You watch. In every, I used to have, there used to be a show called MTV Cribs, and you would see, like, just right here, this picture, right? In everyone's house, you had to have the Scarface, you know, picture. And so that was glorified, you know. Us as kids, that's what we watched. We watched movies
So
that were
were
our favorite
influenced by
movies.
that. Okay.
Absolutely. Our favorite movies were, you know, associated with drug using and these kingpins. So, you know. Even though they got killed, do you think we looked at that part? We didn't care about that part. We would only watch the beginning, and then when they would get killed in the end, we were like, oh man, look how they got taken out. You know, as if they were heroes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you pretty much talked about your childhood upon immigrating, how you started everything and how it was developed, and what you call it graduated from marijuana to alcohol to heroin.
Yeah, well, it was a career.
Yeah.
It was a career.
Yeah, I mean, in every sense of the word, 15 years. Let me switch a little bit to the social aspect of the entire story, and then, of course, toward the end, we're going to come back to what you currently do, how you overcame that, and you know, what would be your message to the community and to all the followers out there. Social aspect, your family. So you mentioned 2 things. On one hand, you said that you used to tell your parents, I'm going to go do my homework, but then you're not doing that, in fact. But then at some point, you started doing it in front of them.
Well,
did you have some guidance like that tried?
So the thing is that why taking Vicodin made more sense. So the opiates, as opposed to like smoking marijuana and drinking, was because, you know, marijuana, you'd have to hide the smell, so it took a lot of work.
Sure.
Okay, and then the alcohol is very hard to hide the smell.
I bet you spent a lot of colognes.
Yeah, absolutely, a lot of cologne. And the thing is that people know, and you're sitting there in a sense of paranoia, right?
Yeah, because you're sitting there not knowing.
Heightened psychosis. So,
yeah.
But then the Vicodin, you know, it's a pill. You can't see it. There's no scent. and it was somewhat manageable at the time. That's when it didn't get too carried away. So I have this euphoric feeling, and I'm around everyone. So I really didn't understand after a while on how to be sober with my family, and I just didn't know them anymore, because I now looking back, you know, I wasn't sober around them, so I really don't know who they are. I was numb the whole time, you know. And when it became unmanageable, I didn't want to be around them, so that's it. I wouldn't associate with them. So when that happened, you know, I stopped going to events.
So, if I'm understanding this right, you were still living with your mom, dad, and siblings in the same house.
So all my brothers.
But you didn't really treat them as a family, because you were there physically, but not spiritually.
Absolutely
meaning like your body was there, walking around, sitting, and this and that, but in fact you're not interacting with them as if you are a stranger.
Absolutely. So yeah, I could not relate to my parents.
Is that the entire 15 years, by the way?
Yeah.
That's a long time.
Yeah, because I felt like a rebel, you know. It is a long time. I didn't really know who they were.
I see. 15 years.
Just being honest.
Yeah. I mean, I appreciate your honesty, obviously.
Yeah.
I appreciate you being here and speaking out publicly and freely. And we're sorry. I mean, I'm publicly apologizing if we are putting you on the spot by any means. But
no.
But I know that you don't mind it.
Please let me stop you right there. Yeah. So you got to imagine, you know, I did die about 4 times, and the thing is about the overdoses is that you never really feel them, but I felt one of them.
Okay. That's also part of the social that we'll talk about is, you know, the fact that, you know, you didn't have that strong connection with your family, you didn't know who were they, and, you know, and didn't even know what to do, you know, and they didn't know how to treat you. So about it.
Yeah, you know, you know, I was told a lot to grow up, you know.
They thought that you were being childish.
Yeah.
And you're not just doing what you're supposed to, like all the younger people.
Right, and go to school because I would see friends that were getting married, you know, graduating,
stable,
and then I'm still living in mom's basement. You know, that
it was a shame.
It was a lot of guilt and shame.
Did that make you feel bad?
Absolutely.
But making you feel bad though did not help you to get better.
I would use more.
So you didn't have any guidance? That's what I want to know. Like, you didn't have somebody like.
So I wasn't essentially teachable at the time.
I see. So you refused to learn.
Yeah, I wasn't teachable because I said I'm a loser.
Okay.
So it might as
you
well.
convinced yourself that you can't learn.
Yeah, that was the state of mind that I was in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you were in a state of despair.
Yeah. Forgive me.
No problem.
You got to imagine if you're, you know, you're called a loser here and there. After a while, you're going to start to believe it. Because there's no action. Yeah.
Okay. So no guidance. You were not teachable. You refused to learn. You were convinced that you can't do much. Yet. You increased, obviously that's a consequence, and you were about to die 4 times. Can you please tell us briefly about each time?
So 3 of the times I didn't really feel the overdose. I was saved by Narcan, okay?
Okay.
Which is naloxone, and it's like a nasal spray. You spray it, and what it does is it wakes you up. It reverses the drug, and you know, thank God for Narcan.
Sure, we'll talk about that too. Yeah,
we'll talk about it in a little bit.
Important.
But the one time that I'll talk about one of the overdoses.
Oh, sure.
So it was a Sunday.
Whatever you feel like.
Yeah. So it was a Sunday afternoon. You know, want to watch a football game.
Okay.
And so a friend called me up and said, "Hey, let's go cop." Okay. I said, "Yes, it's called copping. That, you know, let's go grab some." So I can recall, I remember.
Special coding.
Absolutely, it's a whole language. So I recall looking at the watch, and it was, I think, 11 a.m. So, you know, football starts at 1, so we have 2 hours. Get in a car, I had like $300 in my pocket. We go get, you know, a lot of dope, and we come back, and on the way back, I immediately, once I got the drugs, I took the dose, it was the pills, and I took 10 Vicodin, 10 Somas, and 4 bars of Xanax.
And you said that usually 5 by 5 only would be more than enough to kill somebody.
Kill, like 3 and 3 would
So you're
kill.
pretty much were
like
triple.
5, yeah.
5
6 times the dosage, yeah.
6
4 bars
times.
will kill somebody on their own. So yeah, you got to imagine the tolerance. And then about 10 minutes later, I forgot that I had taking that dose, so I took the same dose. So
Ooh.
now where are we at? How many pills? 60? No, like over 40 something.
45, 50, yeah.
And all I remember is taking a step in front of my house.
And then you fell outside?
Yes. So the neighbor and the guy with me, they broke into my house. My mom, didn't have her scarf on, and it was just a bad mess. And that day, my nephews, and nieces witnessed my overdose. My brother, my neighbor, you gotta imagine. And it was one of the lowest days of my life, because when I woke up, I remember, I went and sat with my mom, and I just thought I had passed out. And she told me what happened, and I felt very low. And my brother had a video of it, and I really did not want to live. And I can recall going in the bathroom, and I'm just seeing spots. It's very vague. And I remember I still had more pills in my pocket.
So when you fell down, you were not delivered to the hospital, obviously. So did you wake up after?
Yeah, like I woke up at nighttime. It was nighttime.
Okay. Now, did they know that you were that almost 10 times more than what is normal?
No, they didn't know.
So they thought it's a normal.
So they never really searched my pockets, because I still had drugs on me. We still had a lot of pills to go.
I see.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So, but usually, as you said, people, when they take a little bit more than 5 by 5, they are dead. But
It can cause an overdose.
It can cause normally, but in your case, you had a bigger and stronger tolerance that it took you 45 pills almost, so it'll be exact, but somewhere around that, between 40 and 50 pills and the bars and everything else combined, until it knocked you down.
Yeah.
Wow. And then that was...
Well, no, that was double the dosage. So
exactly.
I mean the 10, yeah.
But but how much it took you?
Yeah, that pretty much killed me.
Exactly. So the normal for you was what is 5 times more than what is normal for everybody, for a lot of people. But now you had to double up.
No, so it's prescribed as 1 pill. So I was taking 10 times of each one.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Per dose.
So for a lot of people, 5 by 5 would be deadly. For you, it was 25 pills, and you were still normal. But now you had to increase it by double until you were almost dead.
Yeah.
Is that the same case was with the remaining scenarios? Kind of the same?
Some were from heroin, but I don't generally recall. And,
you can't recall. You always recall taking the shot or the
yeah.
the
I'd
dose,
wake
and
up
then
in a hospital, and then immediately after you're cleared by the doctors, they tell you you're lucky to be alive.
That's
you
really the
just
phrase.
nod your head.
Lucky to be alive.
Yeah, you're lucky to be alive. This is a miracle. You would hear different things associated with God, and you don't want to hear that because. So you got to imagine, you develop a career in lying, a career in stealing, a career in blame. So I wanted to blame, exactly.
Everything,
I wanted to blame everyone else, and especially a higher entity, God. Absolutely not. It wasn't the problem. Everything else was a problem,
except
and
you.
then I would blame God, for everything.
Okay.
Why did you do this to me?
Sure.
And whatnot.
Before we go ahead for our commercial break, that we will take in a minute, I wanted to ask you, in the spirit of the social aspect, your family. So you were not teachable, that stuff that you mentioned, meaning there were no one bit of hope.
And I wasn't I wasn't dependable either, because you have a sick employee, that's not willing to grow. Because the only point of me working was to use.
Exactly, to get that money. And to buy what you want to buy.
Exactly.
So obviously, not one employer is gonna have you. Especially once they find out, or.
I had an employer that found out, and that would ask me to stop, and then I would just lie to them. I'd just take less.
Take less.
But when I wasn't at work, I'd take more.
Okay.
So the heavy usage was more towards in the evening, But then there were a lot of times where I was sick at work, so I would go, and grab some while I was at work.
Okay, now.
So I'd put whatever job I had at risk.
What about now? So we talked briefly about how you were about to die, and thank God you're here because.
So May 3rd, 2016.
Okay.
So I arrived to treatment that day, and I was, hopeless and spiritually bankrupt.
Sure. We'll talk about that if you don't mind. I don't interrupt you, but first we're going to go to the commercial break, ladies and gentlemen. We'll come back to continue the story. Welcome back, everybody, to this great story of Rabih Darwiche overcoming addiction, and not any kind of addiction, of course. Before we dive into the treatment and to kind of talk about the other part of the social aspect after overcoming addiction and accepting treatments and accepting to learn, family, friends, society, and then we can dive into the community overall and what Rabih does today. We have to give a big shout out to What's Up Media Network, all the sponsors, Link Arabic TV, 130 Arabic channel, BM Sports, Shahidوا Plus. Please get in touch with What's Up Media Network for a free week of membership or participation with Link Arabic TV, as well as big shout out for our sponsors, Ali Sharara, Section 21, Kern and Neversky, as well as Sam Baidoun, Wayne County Commissioner in Section 21, as well as Marwan Faraj, Namo Express. Thank you guys. And thanks for all the people that are watching. Please make sure that you share the video, make a comment, ask a question. We're going to get back to you, of course, to answer your question. Rabih is here to talk openly and freely about this matter that is very important and unfortunately is taking a lot of young lives from our community and also everywhere. So we're trying to, Rabih, with you, we're trying to tackle this issue. Of course, it takes action, it takes talk, it takes awareness, it takes courage to talk about it, and before anything else. So you were talking about May 3rd of 2016 before the commercial break.
Yes.
That was your first treatment?
No, that was my last one.
Your last one?
That was my last
Your
treatment.
last
The
treatment,
21st.
Okay.
That was the 21st time I went in there.
That was the 21st treatment?
Treatment, yep.
Okay, after that?
And no, so like I said before, I was hopeless,
Yes.
spiritually bankrupt. I was facing
Exactly.
a lot of time in
Exactly.
jail, so overwhelming. License suspended. Destroyed every relationship I had come across.
Okay.
Pretty much, nobody really trusted me.
Sure.
So that's the first thing you give up is trust, and that's the last thing you acquire.
Yes.
Back, when it comes to active addiction and recovery, but for me, I had to make a decision that day.
Okay.
And I realized that the surrender came to me because I would hear this thing called surrender, surrender. And I didn't understand what it was, but the surrender came to me because my liver was hurting. I felt terrible.
So your body
physically,
was
mentally,
dying,
yeah, I was dying.
Okay, so you were like to stay alive for a long time, but then your body started to pay the price.
Yeah, and extremely depressed, and I said, I'm willing to do whatever it takes, and I didn't really, whatever it took. And
to get treated and become clean 100%.
Yeah, and I was fully engaged because I didn't want to go to jail, and I didn't want to go to prison, but I didn't want to die. And you got to imagine when I was in there, a therapist said, list, your triggers, and I said, oh, okay, well, places, and I said, okay, I said Dearborn, I said Michigan, I said the United States and the North American continent. So the air outside was a trigger to me. That's how terrified I was. I was terrified, to be honest with you.
Okay.
And I didn't want to leave treatment because I felt at that point I became institutionalized. But the people there, my family, with a great unconditional support.
Yes, big shout out to your family, by the way.
Yeah, they were encouraging. They said, do whatever it takes.
Yes.
Because they realized that.
And they want to see you different, man.
Absolutely.
They want to see you a different man. They want to see their son, brother, uncle, cousin, neighbor. They want to. They want to see Rabih, the stable.
When I realized that something was really wrong was when my brothers and sisters and my mother and father started saying, smoke weed, at least and they were that desperate. And I never imagined my family saying, use a substance so that way you don't, it might save your life at the time.
Yes.
So they were practicing a form of harm reduction without them even knowing it. But, I couldn't believe that they were saying that. But so after that, I realized that, when I went home, that I couldn't stay home any longer. My mom, is a diabetic, and Allah yarhamu, my dad at the time had dementia. So you got to imagine. And I realized that 3 sick people can't help each other anymore.
Sure.
I no longer of service to my family.
Understand.
Yeah.
So you became clean, thank God.
Yeah, alhamdulillah. You know,
Okay,
and
when was that? Like officially?
May 3rd,
like,
2016 was
Okay.
that's it. That was it.
That was
3.5 years ago, almost.
okay. Three years and 4 months. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, 3 years and 4 months and a few days too.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
You're good at math.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, that's really big. And now you go home.
One day at a time.
Okay. And
You
now,
know, I went home and I realized that I went to my mother and I said I can't live here for the time being because you know
you couldn't remember everything pretty much.
Well, no, everything associated with the house that I was in was with using.
Yeah. I'm saying.
And I realized I'm going back to the same place. I'm realizing, I'm going back to the same place and I'm taking myself with me.
Okay.
And I remember, they removed a lot of stuff from my room, but there's still carpet burns, cigarette burns on the floor. So
you can see that still. Okay.
I can, at the time.
Okay.
And then that's when I made the decision.
So you moved.
I took a lot of courage. Yeah, I moved into a 3/4 house where it's extremely structured, and you have a curfew. You have to make your bed. You're told what to do, and it was very uncomfortable. It wasn't comfortable at all.
But it was worth it.
Absolutely, because they taught me. I didn't know how to wash clothes at the time.
Yeah.
So I had to learn how to do that, and I was taught how to be responsible,
Yes.
how to take ownership, accountability.
Exactly.
And I went to many meetings. Absolutely, and there was a whole recovery world. So they taught me how to believe in a higher entity again. It's in over 180 countries. Imagine now, when I travel to Europe and then the Middle East, when I go to Hajj, alhamdulillah, I've had the privilege. Alhamdulillah. I go to meetings in Lebanon and there's meetings in Saudi Arabia, but it's completely anonymous. Imagine during Hajj, when there's complete free time, I can go to these meetings, But, and so they taught me how to be grateful, how to literally live life one day at a time, where, and I want to give a shout out. So I want to tell you something. So first off, I want to thank God for giving me another day to breathe in this world, and I'm extremely grateful for that. Allowing me to serve every day, alhamdulillah. And then I want to give a shout out to my family. I love them. I want to give a shout out to the Hype family, Ali Sayyid.
God bless them.
God bless him. And I don't know where I would be without him today.
Yes.
And everyone associated in the Hype family. Ali Faraj, Billy Ayman, Alex Hazimi.
Big shout out.
Yeah, Maha, everybody.
Oh yeah.
And then the Safe team. Batul Maki, Haji Lativa, Vincent Berry.
Yes.
Alex Hazimi again.
Shout out to all of them.
Yeah, and then all the guys in the 3/4 house that we run today.
3/4 house.
Yes, we have our own. So the same process that I went through,
you're monitoring over it.
Yeah,
it's going to come to
in
that.
our Safe coalition, alhamdulillah.
That's awesome. I mean, see how your story is, why is it so empowering and why it is so powerful, is because you been through that and you actually went through it step by step.
Absolutely.
And now here we go.
So I share that same experience.
Exactly, same passion.
But here's where...
And the struggles too, by the way.
Absolutely.
You know each stage, what these are going through, what they are thinking internally, and what's going on, and you're helping them to get out of it.
Oh yeah,
That's the beauty of it.
the manipulation process. You they say you can't BS a BSer. I don't want to say the word, but you cannot manipulate a master manipulator. Imagine when you've gone through a career of shooting every move on the planet. Yeah. It's not going to fly by us, but we hold them accountable. So you got to imagine it's a two-way street. So what it is I give them hope. So say you're early in recovery, they say, okay, that's a possibility. I can be like him. There is a future. I can live the life without the use of chemicals, right?
You have to change within you.
Absolutely, but then for me, because here's the thing, this disease, when you're in recovery, over time, memories become malleable and we forget the pain, like I said earlier. And so, and you say, maybe I can use one more time or something, anything. Somebody can come up to you and invite you randomly, because we live in the United States.
Yeah.
Like it can be random. It can be indirectly, because we're facing such an epidemic. You can be at Hajj and somebody can have Xanax on them and they're prescribed that and they're taking it as prescribed. They don't have the disease of addiction, but you do. And you might feel something and they don't know that they're just thinking they're helping you out, and they might give you a Xanax. That's just a hypothetical. I'm not saying that happened, but it can happen.
Absolutely.
Or you go inside somebody's house and all their prescriptions are laid out on the table.
That might entice you again. Might,
Absolutely, but
attract some memory,
that's not very safe, because a kid can,
sure,
or a guy that's in recovery can
just like
it
somebody
can
on
be
a
a trigger.
diet, and they can
and
cheat.
so you're on a diet, and then imagine, you're not eating any sugar, and then you're seeing everyone, eating sugar around you. In the beginning stages of trying to deprive yourself from sugar.
If you have strong dedication and will, you might jump into that
But
again.
still, in the beginning stages, when you're
Sure.
trying to deprive yourself from sugar, you're going to be having a lot of urges. And then they'll tell you, here, have this cake. And then you say, I don't want this cake. And they're going to look at you weird. Why?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It was weird.
It's not bad.
It was weird.
Yeah.
I realized something. It's like everything is stigmatized in a way. If you eat a certain way, I was called a health freak once, and I didn't think anything of it. But then later on, when I reflected, I was like, wow, I'm even called a freak if I eat a certain way. So imagine,
Yes.
associated with addiction. And then here's what we realized. We realized that when we put down the drugs and alcohol, we realized that wasn't our problem. Because that's what I thought the whole time. Those 20 times before that 21st time of getting clean, I thought that the drugs and alcohol were my only problem. But then guess what? When I'm clean now, are they my problem anymore? They're not. Once I'm clean. During the use, look, you're not going to control it. It's not even a choice. That choice factor does not come in. If you're my brother and you're my blood and I'm in active addiction, I'm going to choose the drugs over you 100% of the time. It's very rare. If I'm sick, I'm going to choose the drugs over you. And that's just flat out. When the disease is progressive.
Wow.
Right. But when we eliminate the chemicals from the body, then the choice factor comes in.
Sure.
It comes back in. And then if you don't build, a strong boundary, you don't educate yourself, you don't, associate with people that are in recovery and positive.
Sure.
Then, good luck. Because I hate being right when it comes to that, but very rarely, people, recover.
Yes.
Because they're back in the mix. It's very rare, but they can be around it. There's some people that are around it, because they'll have it at home, prescriptions and whatnot, but they have a support system, something.
Sure.
Just something out there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let me ask you about the social aspect now also. Like now, Rabih, the free, clean, I'm not sure what kind of term to use, you overcame, you pretty much, you announced a revolution against addiction. And
Absolutely.
you got rid of it 3 years and 4 months ago,
Yes.
thank God. So now you walk back home. How long it took you until you went back
So
to
for me, I realized that, when I would come back into Dearborn, I would get anxiety because, everything around Dearborn was associated
memory.
with you.
Your
or
mom's
Detroit.
still alive, alhamdulillah?
Yeah, alhamdulillah. She's
Alhamdulillah.
alive.
Alhamdulillah.
And you got to imagine.
You wasted 15 years, yeah.
But not just that. I realized that everything happened to me for a reason. And it's not, okay, people can call it a waste of 15 years, but, I realize now it's a waste if I don't share my experience, strength, and hope with others.
I meant to waste myself in a sense that
you're absolutely
your
right.
family.
Right. But
good.
now, alhamdulillah, now, I'm very, very well aware of what's going on with my family. Alhamdulillah. So I went from being the black
Helpless.
sheep of the family
Yeah.
to one of the most respected now. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
I with Dar es Salaam, they've given me the opportunity of going to Hajj, 3 times. Hajj Hassan Subha has been, amazing in my life too. So imagine it took a village. I named all those people, and forgive me for whoever I forgot.
No.
And even you guys, thank you.
No, of course, but it's
because it took a
the least that we
village.
can do. The least we can do. And so now, also you're married?
No, I'm not married. So you got to imagine, when I got clean at the age of 33, I was starting over, literally.
Sure.
How about not even over, how about starting? I was starting my life. And I can recall going into Hype and, Ali, I was very honest with him and I told him if this job were to get in the way of my recovery, because I didn't want to die, I said, I quit. And he looked at me and said, how do you quit before, you even started? But So he took a chance on me, you know, and he told me that, you know, we're starting this safe, you know, thing at the time and whatnot. And, you know, he hired me. And the one thing was, you know, he never gave up on me. You know, he never stigmatized me.
Nice.
He never judged. He was not judgmental towards me. Even though when I went in, I was very judgmental to him, you know, but he realized I was willing to do whatever it took, and you know, he took a chance on me.
I mean, he saw that you were taking this seriously, and you're not going to go back you know, to the old habits, which obviously,
so he was very
paid
supportive.
off.
Absolutely, you know, and you know, alhamdulillah, today I'm blessed and privileged to have the opportunity to, you know,
to help a lot of people.
To help a lot of people through the outlet of Hype, you know, and then of course the Safe Substance Abuse Coalition. And we're able to, you know, touch many lives, change lives. You got to imagine with Hype, you know, we have the vocational training aspect. You know, with co-occurring mental illness, felons, autism, so we're able, you know, to re-assimilate people into society, and if, you know, possibly give them a job within the Hype family. And you have, you know, the health. People think that Hype is just a gym. That's not even close. That's just one of the many aspects of what Hype is. And you have mentors on site. You know, we're dealing with the youth on a daily basis. So imagine, you know, these guys that are playing basketball. If that place didn't exist, they would be selling dope on the streets, and I guarantee you they would be. It's either there or they'd be isolating in a room playing video games.
Or at least,
so you gotta imagine.
At least they'll be in a high risk. I mean, if they're
high
not
risk.
doing that, at least, which I agree with you. I'm not,
Absolutely.
you know, I'm just saying at least we're, you know, yeah, they'll be at high risk because nothing else to do. After school or something like that. Rabih, اليوم you work as a manager at the at Hype in the Wayne, city of Wayne, and then you're a mentor.
I'm the building director at Hype Athletics in Wayne. You know, I do also personal training, life coaching, and with the Safe Coalition, I'm on the executive board, and I'm a certified peer recovery specialist through the Department of Health.
So you help clients to overcome all what you went through yourself and what they're going through currently, and also
absolutely, because I'm relatable and
yeah, I mean, who's gonna know it? Who's gonna know better than the one who went through it all?
Yeah, and then we do educational forums. We do pre-interventions where we come in and educate the families on how we're gonna do the intervention.
Awesome.
Once the person is there, so that way we tell them that, okay, we go get them clean if we can convince them, you know, hopefully to get help. And the majority of the times, once we say, you know, we're here to help you. Do you want help? And they usually want help. It's very rare that somebody denies the help.
Definitely. And then also you went beyond to train the police departments.
Yeah, so we have the Narcan. We have free Narcan trainings through the Detroit Wayne Mental Health Authority. And so we're able to host these like a forum sort of, or an educational background on Narcan, and so you get certified there. And so yeah, we had the training for the police officers, and they've saved many lives. I'm not sure what the numbers are right now, but I'm sure it's well over.
God bless.
20, 30, alhamdulillah.
Even if it's one.
Absolutely,
you know,
because here's the thing, I was saved by it. So imagine, you know.
Yes.
And then you know,
maybe one time.
I've saved somebody with Narcan before.
Maybe I'm not sure. How can we highlight like that? I mean, since you're a master.
Well, so for me, when I recorded the. You know, what happens is when you save a life, you have to record it. So that way
record that the life has been saved?
Yes, you have to report it.
So the whole
once the Narcan, the whole thing. So when they train you how to report it as well. So thank God so here's the thing. I had the training like maybe a year, 8 months into my recovery, right? And then I'm like, oh, I'm not gonna use this. So I walked into Hype with the kit and I forgot it. You know, so one of the front desk girls just threw it in the
garbage.
No. She put it in the area where the bank. You know, like. Okay, so she put it like in one of the shelves.
Okay.
And then there came a day, 2.5 years later. You know, we had to save a life, and they were ODing, and I had the Narcan right then and there.
No
so
kidding?
Imagine, you know, and I never thought I would ever use it. And it is true. Now I always hold Narcan with me.
Everything happens for a reason.
Absolutely, because, you know, imagine you're walking down the street, and it could be, you know, your son, your brother, your cousin, your father, your sister, your mother, your grandma.
Desperate help.
Absolutely, that is ODing anywhere.
Sure.
And I mean, that's how bad it's become.
Sure. Well, it's really awesome. But let me take advantage of the last few minutes that we have to talk a little bit about our community. So from your very inspirational story, from your very great transformation, if I can say, from a gentleman who was hopeless, helpless, he didn't have any purpose in life, and to a person who is a mentor, who is helping others to overcome what they're going through, who is managing a whole building, whereas he didn't even think that he can be responsible one bit.
Right.
And this is not really easy. We're not even exaggerating. This is great. Now you,
Alhamdulillah.
as an icon in this regard, in overcoming this, which is taking over a lot of our community young people, and it's no longer a secret. And
No,
our goal here is
absolutely
not to disclose or expose anybody, it's just that it's a fact. We're living with it, and we're seeing it almost every single month. So, what do you feel? What, what goes in your mind, in Rabi''s mind, when he see young people are taken, because
Well, I
of
mean,
that?
of course, I'm very heartbroken.
Of course,
You
all of us,
know.
by the way. We are all heartbroken. We stand in solidarity, and we express our deep and sincere condolences.
Condolences,
by the way.
absolutely.
Yes. So it's not, but we also, in the meantime, we have to put our finger on the wound, because we have to solve this issue.
Absolutely.
That's
you
why
know,
I'm asking you.
Yeah, I mean, I also get angry, and also, I'm very driven when it comes to this issue, and I'm never going to stop unless, God wants me to stop. That's the only way, because this is God's work, and I'll tell you that the only way, we can somewhat slow this thing down, okay, this disease, this epidemic that's going on, is to really get honest about it, number one, and to understand that we have to respect the disease of addiction. We have to get the proper education, and I know that part is really rough, because
Sure.
as a person, imagine I don't like people telling me what to do.
Understand.
I don't, and I have,
You don't like to be bossed.
Right.
Meaning somebody tell you, hey, do this, do that, then do this.
Right. I mean, look, we have a lot of distractions. I want to sit there and give time to, I really don't watch television. I really don't have time, because time is very valuable. Okay?
Sure.
And imagine
Yeah.
trying to manage energy. But
Of course.
So, we have a lot of distractions. We have sitcoms that we are committed to. We have many, many things that distract us and that come very natural. So
Sure.
imagine, somebody coming to you and saying, 1, 2, 3, let us try to educate you. It's very rough. It's not easy.
I mean, especially out of no structure in the past. So all
Right,
of a sudden,
yeah.
you get
So
a new
this
system
is very-
in place. Doesn't get
absolutely.
enough. Where can
And-
families, sorry, go ahead.
But I want to let you know that the laws that we have now enable the disease as well, because we have a lot of rights that protect us, but at the same time can be harmful towards the disease.
That's why education, that's why being honest, that's why admitting and speaking up.
Absolutely.
So if a
And-
family now wants to get in touch with you
Mm-hmm.
as Rabih, as an individual, as a mentor, as someone who is a living proof, not a living proof, is a living
proof.
Yeah.
Yes.
I know. I'm not sure why, man. It's 8:30.
Yeah, gotta drink some
that's
water,
why.
bro.
Yeah. Yeah, as a living proof, and being a great testimony for this. How they can get in touch with you, Norway Safe, and how we need to encourage families and kids and individuals just to speak up, say, I need help, just like how you did, even if it took you this long. But
Absolutely.
thank God you're alive, and here we go,
Alhamdulillah,
you're
yeah.
giving back. So what we need to do to avoid all these tragedies?
So you can call Hype. That's 734-721-7400.
And ask for
And
Rabih.
ask for Rabia, or you can call me at 734-778-4308 and ask for Rabia. And then also, my message to the community would be, you no longer have to suffer in silence. You're not alone. And
We have solutions.
We do. We have solutions.
We can try.
And we have a village. We really do have a village.
Exactly.
And we have different entities in the city of Dearborn, different coalitions as well that are out there to help, serve and help us.
Let's join forces, and trust me, if that happens, I mean, every bit it helps.
And the thing is that, God bless the parents. Wallah.
Sure.
And one thing I always tell everyone is that please try to have an open mind and try not to treat cancer at home. You would not treat cancer at home. And we have to respect this disease, and you can't treat it at home. I wish that, again, if we put the drugs and alcohol down and it's over, I wish that were the case, but that's not the case.
Because now we have an internal kind of fight,
right,
with overcoming it. Rabih, any final word for the community, for whoever you want to give a final word?
Well, no, I just want to thank the community for allowing me to share my experience, strength, and hope, and that we're just, we're just going to keep going and fighting on, and please, we need your help.
Of course.
Regardless.
Well, Rabih, you know that you're not only a spot of hope, you're spots of hope, because you do bring back some positivity and some great energy to what so many people thought that they have lost faith in. And I want to tell everybody, ladies and gentlemen, we've got a great story today. We've got someone who overcame a great deal of challenge and a great deal of hindrance. I mean, he came from death literally to live a very productive life. I hope that you guys enjoyed the episode today. I want to thank What's Up Media Network, all the sponsors of What's Up Media Network, Sling Arabic TV. I want to thank Marwan Faraj Lemo Express, Sam Baidoun, Wayne County Commissioner and Century 21 Real Estate Agent, as well as Ali Sharara, also Century 21 Real Estate Agent. We will come back to our next show next Tuesday at 7:30 live, exclusive on What's Up Media Network. As always, great informative shows. If you have any questions or concerns, please always reach out to me personally, to What's Up Media Network. And please make sure that you guys all get in touch with Rabih. If you or you know someone who needs help, get in touch with Rabih because he is a great mentor, because he has lived the whole thing. Ladies and gentlemen, good night, and see you all next Tuesday.